Hi everybody, welcome back to episode 53 of the QRP. If you haven't been here before, or maybe even if you have, my name is Deck.
And my name is Tim.
And we are the Quick Resume podcast. Today there have been, well this week I suppose, there have been acquisitions. Fortnite has been made accessible in the cloud. Halo Season 2 has come out. A few other weird things as well. But if you want to stick around and find out and hear about it, we're here for you for that. So, Tim.
Yes.
Talk to me, buddy. What do you think? I mean, not only how are you, but also how has the gaming week been for you? Have you heard much?
How has the gaming brain been?
The gaming brain.
I haven't. Yeah. This week I've been a little bit out of touch again. I have to admit, I have heard of some of the stories we're going to be going through today and stuff like that, but it'll be good to talk about them obviously in more detail as we always do. But yeah, no, I'm pretty good. Pretty much same old from my end. Pretty tired these days with the weekends being absorbed by my cricket season starting up and everything. So just physically quite exhausted these days as my body adapts. But yeah, no, pretty good, man. Can't complain. You know, we got the Halo Season 2. We've been playing lots of that. And it's been a pretty good week. I've been hopping in and out of Tales of Arise as well. I kind of want to put more hours into that game. But I can't remember. Did I mention that I got that in the last episode? I can't remember.
I don't know if you did mention it on the show. Obviously, we spoke about it off air.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, in case I didn't, I bought Tales of Rise, which was in one of the sales. I think it was in like a publisher sale or something. And it's a JRPG. And for those who haven't heard about it, it's supposed to be amazing. I think it was like in like the runnings for like Game of the Year last year and stuff like that. It got like straight 9s like across the board. And yeah, I mean, I've sunk a solid 4 or 5 hours into it, and it's pretty damn good. But I just need to find more time for it, which is tough because all of our FPS games that we play as a group are getting like new and shiny seasons. And I know I'm just going to be roped into a lot of social gaming rather than single player gaming. But yeah, no, I'm pretty good overall. How have you been, man?
Yeah, I've been okay. I mean, I did want to like just quickly the conversation we had about Tales of Arise was pretty funny because you're like, oh, it's in the spring sale or something.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you're like, it's 50% off, and I was like, what's this? Like, what does he want from me? So, like, do you want me to convince you to buy it or to not buy it? Yeah. So I just sent you like what was it, like an anime bunny gif or something, like a girl in a bunny costume. 10 minutes pass, I bought it.
Yeah. That's all I needed, man. I just needed to see an anime girl jumping up and down, and I was like,
yeah,
that's it. The man knows what he's doing. He's convinced me to buy it.
Yeah. But other than that, yeah, not bad. I've been planning all sorts of wedding stuff for what's coming up next weekend. So that reminds me actually that we won't be having a podcast next week.
We're taking a gap week for this boy's little wedding.
So. Yeah, and then that's 1 week close to the showcase, of course. So that's pretty cool. And I've just, what have I been playing? I've been playing some Breath of the Wild. I've been playing some Switch Sports. I spoke about that last week, didn't I? I spoke about Switch Sports. Did I not?
I don't think you did speak about Switch Sports. No. Again, I think it's just our like personal conversations kind of like bleed through into QR.
Sometimes. Yeah. So I'm playing a lot of Switch Sports. That's been fun. It's like a bit more bare bones than I would like it to be, which is a real shame. But it's weird. So it turns out, like, because I've just been playing it locally, because how else do you play Switch Sports? And you get nothing, but you can play online, and there's like progression. You like get like loot boxes essentially. Like you level up and you get loot boxes.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen when you're playing local, and it's so weird. Like, who buys Switch Sport? Imagine just standing in your own, like on your own in your living room, just like playing tennis against someone across the world.
Yeah.
It's a bit
Yeah,
sad, isn't it?
it is kind of weird. You basically just play that. Let's be honest. Anyone who's played Wii Sports in the past, you just did it with your friends, or you just did it with family or whatever locally, and it was just a good laugh. That is literally what that game's for. It's like nobody goes online and solo queues like a game of Mario Party.
Yeah, they're like, "What's my elo? What's my elo?"
Yeah.
Fucking bowling.
Yeah, it's a bit weird that.
But having said that, because I think I haven't fully tested it, but I think there are some games you can like duo queue online. You know, like tennis, you can play together online, so you can have like some local and online play for some of them. But I haven't tested which ones you can and can't. Tennis is the only one I know of. But we played like a round of bowling online, and that worked pretty well to me. It worked like I'm not kidding. It's like a bowling battle royale. Like, I'm not joking. Like, you bowl, and then the bottom half are knocked out every 3 rounds based on who's got the lowest score. So it just goes down and down and down until it's the final 3. And honestly, it was quite fun. But it's just weird to lock like all the progression system to online play still. Yeah, because even like they've like taken, it's like the character creator is so there's like nothing on it, and like loads of like different noses and beards are like locked into this like loot box system. It's like, let me have a nose, let me have a beard, let me have glasses.
That is kind of weird, yeah. Because I mean, I guess can you like? But I guess you can still have like the base customization of beard, noses, whatever, because you just make your Mii, right? And you can take your Mii into those games. It's just like,
I don't know, to be honest. Yeah, probably, but
no,
I don't know. Like, everyone I've seen online is like looks the same. Like, nobody, like, as in they look like they're out of the game rather than out of the Switch. Like, they're like a Mii, if you know what I mean.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know what you mean.
Maybe it just like transplants it into the game.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
been playing that. So I've got like tennis elbow now because badminton's in the game. I've said that before. It's pretty shit hot, to be honest. It's probably one of the better ones.
Good.
Yeah, it's probably one of the better ones. I think I prefer tennis still. I just kind of like how tennis handles in these games. But badminton still feels really good. And then other than that, I've just been playing a lot of Halo Season 2, which is an interesting topic for today. So why don't we get into that? Why don't we get into that now?
Sure.
What's your temperature on Season 2 now that we've had it for a week, or just under a week?
Yeah, right now I am pretty lukewarm, maybe kind of cold towards Season 2 right now. Kind of doesn't really feel like a new season, apart from like the new battle pass. Like, because we play as a group in Halo quite a lot, and most of the new content is like free for all based, especially like the new game mode last Spartan Standing, and then the new Rumble Pit playlist with all the like cool wacky fun shit that can only be queued solo as well. So all that sort of stuff is kind of, I haven't really had the chance to play around with it because whenever I'm on Halo, I'm playing with 3, 4, 5+ people. So right now, my Season 2 kind of just feels like I'm slowly progressing through a battle pass, which is quite nice, I guess. And maybe I'll get one of the new maps that's in rotation, like if I'm lucky, like maybe once or twice a night. That's kind of how my Season 2 vibes are right now. And yeah, it's not ideal. It's definitely like rekindled a little bit of something for Halo for me. Like, I am back on it. I am playing it like whenever I log on and with people, and we've had a decent group of 5, 6 people, so it's bringing people back and I'm having fun with it. But yeah, just at the moment, nothing too crazy from me. It's fine, That's about
yeah.
where I'm
Which
at on it.
like I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people are feeling that way. I mean, I've had a bit more time to play it quite a lot this week, and I mean, I've got to say, like, this game feels so good. This game just feels so good to play. Like especially when you start like clicking and you get back into it. And you get your aiming down and everything. It just feels damn good to play. And yeah, I mean, we've already spoken about our woes with kind of the content. Obviously, it's not ideal. I mean, it's fine. It's whatever. I mean, I think for what it's worth, I think the new maps are kind of banging. And the modes that they have injected into the game has added some nice variety to. Well, I was saying this before the show. To quick play, like quick play feels way like before. It was just Slayer, Stronghold, and Oddball. I think that was it.
Oh no, CTF.
CTF, that's right. And now you've got King of the Hill, Slayer, Stronghold, Oddball, CTF, Attrition. So like half of the quick play playlist is now made up of like mostly new modes, like Attrition and King of the Hill. And don't get me wrong, it's nothing like revolutionary, but it's nice, and it does feel like this is kind of what Halo's about. Like Halo really thrives on like a lot of variety. Where you have these different weapons and you have these different equipment, and they work differently for each game mode. It just brings a nice variety. Like I've had that a few times where I've been just hopping. We've just had different game modes, different maps every time, and I've been like, oh, this feels so much better because this was getting so stale in season 1. Like don't get me wrong, it's like hardly revolutionary, but it's like it has felt substantially nicer. Like I will say that. Just queuing quick play. So yeah, there's that. Like you said, the battle pass is obviously there. It's nice to have some progression back. So we've like there's been like some small adjustment to the challenges, but still needs some work. There's still some silly shit in there, and I'm like stockpiling challenge rerolls specifically for when I get a shit one. Like if I'm like I'm not going to be able to do that. If that says queue a specific mode, no, I'm rerolling it.
I tend to do the same thing. How many rerolls do you have?
I think I have,
because I don't have many.
I think I have like 8. I had like 4 at the beginning of the season, but I've gotten a few for the battle pass.
All right, that's fine. I have like 6. Okay, that's fine.
There's a Games Pass perk at the moment for some skins, like and rerolls. You get 5 boosts, 5 rerolls, and I think they're giving another 5 away this week because of some fuckery that was happening with Last Spartan Standing and some progress being inconsistent, which is now fixed, but they said they're giving some more away. So I think really they're just looking to give like rerolls away like candy at the moment, while they know that there's some more work that needs to be done. I mean, the really egregious ones are gone, but there's still some in there that you're like, oh my god, this is so stupid. But I think I got off fairly scot-free for this first week, and like most of them were okay. I saw it's kind of weird because I think people just have like different tolerances to like these sorts of challenges. Like I don't know, like I guess I'm used to games where you have this sort of stuff. But like one of them was like Last Barn Standing. It was like get 20, like it was one of the very bottom ones. So it wasn't the ultimate, but it was one of like, the harder ones. And it was like get 25 melee kills in Last Barn Standing. I was like, I don't know. A lot of people were complaining about that, and I was like, "That's pretty straight. You just play the game. Like, just play the. You're gonna get melee kills. Like, you might need to play 5, 6, 7 games, but like, that's not the. I don't think that's the problem with challenge. I think the problem is making you do shit you don't want to do, or making you play worse. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess it kind of just fits to the style of the game mode too. Like with the size of the map in Last Spartan Standing and the way that the game is being played, you're not gonna really have as many close quarters engagements as a regular match of Halo. I don't think you're not going to have people running into each other, AR spraying and then meleeing, like you do in BTB or just quick play.
It happens more than you think, a lot more because there's no radars, so you do bump into people.
I mean, I've played like 2 or 3 matches at Last Spartan Standing, and I have won one. Just throwing that out there. Went like 12 and like 3 or something. And it was very slow paced. It was very, get the high ground and keep it, and sight lines, that sort of thing. So I can see that 25 melee one actually being kind of annoying. I mean, and just taking like just feeling like a slog. Yeah, just feeling like it's going to take a long time. But yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I had a challenge that was like grapple shot a Spartan, And I found that really annoying. But I don't know if you were being sarcastic, but you seem to think that one was kind of fine.
But there was only one. Is it just grapple shot
Yeah,
one to
it was
one?
just one. Yeah, but it's just like
Yeah,
that's just not what's going through my head whenever I get a grapple. Like, I don't. I
I
who
suppose.
uses
Yeah.
grapples that way?
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
just weird.
I guess my point is like not that is not a challenge that shouldn't like that should not be a challenge, but like while it's there, you can get rid of that in one match. Like if you play a game of Fiesta, just fire a harpoon into someone's eye socket and like it's done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think you also have to kill them.
No, you don't have to kill them with it. No.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah, because you get a medal. I can't remember what it's called.
It's called
Might just be
harpoon. The medal.
Harpoon. That's the one. Yeah, that's what they mean.
Okay.
But
Why don't they
yeah.
just phrase it harpoon in
I
anything?
don't know. I guess because some medals don't really like what they're called isn't clear about what they mean. Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah,
guess
yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
it'd be nice if they just had it in brackets, maybe though. Yeah, like harpoon medal.
yeah,
Like after,
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah. Okay. So that's about far. That's the challenges. Yeah. No, I mean, we'll see where we're at as the season goes on. But I mean, yeah, like I said, I've got to say, I have been having a lot of fun. There is some like controversy to go over because when isn't there, and I guess the other thing other than that was some of the balance changes, like sandbox changes. I'm gonna be real. I feel like the heat wave has been nerfed. I'm sure of it.
Yes, I was going to mention this
I'm
last night.
sure of it.
Yeah, it's so much more inconsistent. Like I used to shoot melee with it quite a lot. Yeah. Oh, okay. The fire rate. Oh, interesting.
I mean, I don't know like definitively, but that's really what it feels like.
Yeah, I kind of just felt like it was harder for me to hit my pellets, and like I couldn't like consistently like shoot and melee someone like I used to be able to. Like
Well,
sometimes
melee damage has gone down.
Oh yeah, that might be it as well. That could be it. Yeah, it could be a combination of both those things.
Yeah.
But I definitely noticed something weird with the heat wave. Like, I'm with you there. Like,
yeah,
I wasn't 100% certain on it, but it just felt clunkier. It just felt worse.
Yeah, I have no idea because Heatwave is probably one of my favorite weapons simply because when we first started playing Infinite, I was like, this gun sucks. But then eventually over time, like I got good with it. And for that reason, that I would bank off walls and like get hits, and I'd just be able to use it really well, and like flick between the horizontal and vertical, like for when it, for the right situations and stuff. And now I'm using it. I'm like, I just can't kill anyone with this thing. Like, because usually 2 full on like vertical hits kill someone, and those are hard to land. So that was like usually the payoff. Or like you do 2 vertical, and if you really can't finish someone off, you'd swap to horizontal just to get like the final bullet or 2, and that would do it. But that's just not working for me this season unless I land like 3 perfect verticals, and it's like, that's so slow. Like, think how much quicker the Bulldog fires. The Bulldog kills in 3. So like, I don't know what it is. I know there's been like a bug going around with, I mean, supposedly with the BR. I haven't experienced it once, but apparently this extends to like other semi-auto weapons where like guns are like jamming. But it hasn't happened to me once, but I've seen people talking about it online. It might just be a PC thing. I don't know. So I don't know if this is relevant, but I don't know what's going on with that. Because obviously there was nothing in the patch note about, and what, like, nobody thought the heat wave was overpowered. So I can't imagine this is anything intentional. But man, it just, unless I'm just being dumb, but it just doesn't. It does feel weaker, which has been stressing me out.
I'm kind of there with you. And yeah, I doubt it was an intentional nerf if it was, because I mean, if anything, I'd probably say overall it's a worse option than something like the Bulldog anyway. Just in general as a weapon, like, it's cooler and I like it more, but I think the Bulldog is far more
harder,
better, far more a consistent weapon. So if anything should get nerfed intentionally, it should have been the Bulldog. But so I imagine it's some sort of bug or something. But yeah. I'm kind of there with you. It'd be interesting to see if anything comes out about that.
Yeah. And then there's been like general tightening before we get to the other sort of sandbox changes. Like there was, if you read the like patch notes or whatever, the patch notes on Halo Waypoint, that it spoke about the changes they've done to melees and like the continual updates they've done with kind of network performance and desync. And we spoke about this as well, didn't we? When we sort of said like my experience of being like killed around corners or being like confused after a melee like trade has gone from like a 5 down to a 1. Like it's so irregular now, which is great. I hope other people are having that experience as well.
Mm.
But all of that is working. I'm coming away from those sorts of fights way less like frustrated.
Yeah, all that stuff seems a bit more consistent. Yeah, there were definitely some times in season 1 Halo where I just went into like butt heads with somebody, and like I crack his shield to melee him, and then like a full second later, like he's meleeed me, and it's ended up being like a trade, and I'm
Yeah.
like, no, hold on a second, like that's absolutely not correct. Like I literally got the score for killing you, and then
Yeah.
I die as well. Like how does that work? Yeah, so
Yeah.
that sort of stuff definitely has been fine tuned and does feel a lot crispier, a lot better. Yeah, I would agree.
Because they actually made a patch so that what for in terms of the melees, like what would end up happening is that you end up getting more trades. 'Cause I didn't know this, but apparently, and I don't know if this has been a thing in other Halo games. So like, if you're listening, and you know how this works, you'll have to correct me. But apparently, the way melees worked in Info at the very least is that if you were on less health and you both went into melee at the same time, the person on less health would die even though
Okay.
you both meleeed at the same time. And as the person with less health, it would still look like you got your melee off, but the game would kill you because you had less health.
Oh, okay.
That was the idea, that you died because you had lost the gunfight.
Yeah.
But now they've like really loosened that threshold so that if you both go in for a melee, you're both done. Like the melee damage will be done regardless. Like there's none of that.
Okay.
And it does feel more consistent, to be fair. But it's just funny because like that I didn't know that that's how that worked, and it's like that makes complete sense. But now I don't know. Yeah, it's just one of those things that I think like things on paper sometimes don't translate well into in game. It just feels way better to die, and it's easier to treat a melee as like the reset
Flat
button.
damage.
Like yeah, like if I'm winning a gunfight, it's like don't get too close or they're going to come in for a trade.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing is like keep your distance, or I know that that's going to be the ultimate outcome, rather than trying to gauge, am I on more health or are they on less health? Should I try and finish this off with a melee?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought that was
Yeah.
interesting. But overall,
Yeah.
it's one of those things that's made it feel a lot better, rather than having confusing melee fights where you're like, what? I thought I hit that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, neither did I.
That's how they did it. That kind of explains a lot. And in all honesty, it is kind of like even on paper that sounds wrong. Like I think it's much better the way they have it now. If that's the case,
It makes
just
sense
sounds weird.
competitively, doesn't it? It makes sense competitively.
I
Like
guess
if you're a
so.
pro player and you've hit them with like 3.5 bursts of BR, and they've only hit you've counted it, and they've only hit you with 2.5. You can go in for a melee and win.
Yeah. I guess so. I just find it so weird that yeah, even if that's the case, that other person who lost the gunfight, their melee is just nullified. It's like they never even did it.
Well, yeah,
Like
only if it's like at the
that
same
just
time.
is strange. Yeah,
But yeah, I'm with you. I think it's easier to read this way.
yeah,
As
yeah.
a player. But yeah, really, really interesting. And was there something else? And then one of the other big things was that some skill jumps got removed. I sort of messaged you about this. So this has been the biggest controversy. So one of the things that they put in the patch notes is that they have lessened the speed of a slide jump. So if you jump and slide down onto an incline, you can get like really
Crazy
quick,
speed. Yeah,
crazy speed for some rotations or whatever it is. They've nerfed that. I'm still doing it. You still get speed. Still go substantially quicker, but the rationale that they put on the website was essentially there are some spawns on some maps with some inclines that get you so much speed that you can get straight to power weapons way quicker than anyone else has a chance. And like because for normal inclines you still get a normal speed boost. There are just some which were like long that like were crazy that most people weren't pulling off. And to be clear, I don't like this. I like tech like
no,
this in games. I think this is really enjoyable. Well, all of these shout out to Standard Ace, by the way, YouTuber who like posts like just 30-second clips of like crazy tech and stuff. Like, I love this sort of shit in games, and I think this is part of Halo's soul to have like silly stuff that barely gives you an advantage, but it does. But you have to practice really hard at. If you wanted to, you give it a go, and you eventually get better. So that was their reasoning, and it's caused a lot of controversy in the community. The argument is that 343 have focused too much on balancing this for pros, and a lot of the general audience, the wider audience, feels that this, like, these slide jumps do have like counters. Like, getting somewhere super early is not useful because you can get gunned down so fast.
Exactly.
Like on recharge, the overshield. That's a really common one. Recharge the big blue map. If you're on the side where the energy sword or the gravity hammer, where the spinning turbine is, you can just run straight spawn and go down the ramp and slide straight off that onto the overshield or the camo, right in center.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's like one of the big ones, but like people have like tried to like simulate it and run it, and found that most of the time, I mean, this is not like real evidence, but like the feeling is that exposes you because you're there so early, unless you manage to get the OV off like first, because a lot of people feel like you need to win the gunfight and then you get the. So anyway, it's created this whole controversy around like how that kind of works, and like should this stuff be patched and should it not? And I'm really on side not, but I mean, what's your temperature on this?
I'm on side not as well. Yeah, I think we're both in the same camp as this sort of tech stuff is really cool to have in the game, and it does, it differentiates like skill gaps and people who want to spend time learning this sort of thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You can't just like, not everyone can always be on a level playing field. There are people that aspire to be better and to learn these little things to get the edge on them, and you're not going to run into it often either. Like, as a casual gamer, you're not going to run into these sweat lords just pulling this sort of stuff off every game that you're like, oh, this is stupid and unfair. So I don't know. It's always something to like aim for and to improve on, which I'm always a fan of in FPS. Like, I feel like if there weren't these little things to learn and to get the edge up on your opponent, well, in theory, get the edge up on your opponent. Obviously, that's the argument here. If they weren't in the game, then eventually everything would just become quite stagnant. You don't have a ceiling to reach for. You've already hit it. You're and that sort of stuff, I feel like, can take the lifespan out of a first-person shooter in terms of longevity and stuff like that. So I'm completely for it, to be honest. I keep it in the game. Don't nerf it. But
yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, it reminds me of when Apex removed like bunny hopping, like that went away and that never came back. Obviously, there's still pretty good movement tech like in that game, but like there was similar outrage when that happened. But I guess what amplifies it is that this sort of stuff is very like Halo,
This sort of stuff's been in Halo since Halo was the thing. Since Halo,
it's very physics based. Yeah, so and like I said, it's not gone out the game, and it's not even like hyper nerfed. Like, you can still do it and get like pretty good speed for rotations. It just has been. If I had to put a number on it, I'd probably say like 30% speed down on some of the bigger ones. On smaller ones, it's unaffected. So it's not really a big change. I think it's just in principle that people like don't like the idea of this stuff being removed or patched. And like things like curb slides haven't been touched. So coming off small ledges and sliding just as you leave. I do that all the time. Like I spent put decent time into getting that down in season 1, and I can do it on like most ledges now for like speed. So like I'd be pretty pissed if that got touched. Because that's just really fun to pull off, and you learn which ledges work well for you, which don't. And sometimes you hit like big curb slides, which are like so frame precise, but if you hit them, you go like flying. So that's that. That's the first part. The second part is that some skill jumps got removed. So I'm not talking about slide jumps. I'm talking like jumping onto a little bit of geometry over there to get up higher, or geometry there to get to there to get to this other place, rather than running up the stairs.
Yeah.
And some of them were like actively removed, and there was nothing about this on the patch notes, and that's kind of riled people up as well because it wasn't communicated, and people think
It's
that's
a bit
a bit unfair.
snaky. Yeah.
Again, not all of them have been removed. For the most part, it's only been the stupidly hard ones that have been removed. But there's one so I think I've shown you this one on streets. When you where the balcony is, you like jump on the street lamp, and then you can get up to the balcony, like where the downhill incline is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could there's a street lamp that you can jump. There's a few ways you can thrust up there if you get the timing right. You can do a drop slide if you get the time right, but you can also jump on the street lamp, and that was the most consistent way I felt anyway. Anyway, that got patched along with a few others. And I spent I put decent time into practicing getting that right in season 1. So that I think that's just it just sucks. It's just stupid. I'm perfectly fine with people making these jumps. This doesn't need to happen.
Yeah. It's just not game breaking, this sort of stuff. It's really niche things to potentially get one up on your opponent, and they're really hard to pull off, or you fuck it up and then you end up being in a worse position yourself. You're taking a risk trying to pull this stuff off anyway.
Yeah.
So it just seems so weird to remove it. I just if I died to someone doing something like that and making a really quick rotation off a skill jump, I wouldn't just be like, oh my god, this game's garbage. I'd be like, okay, well played. It's one of those things. I don't have the time to learn it, but that was pretty cool. And then, you'd probably try it again later and fuck it up and I gun him down in the middle of the street, It's not a guaranteed thing,
I guess, yeah, it's fun. I definitely, because the argument is that it's too much balancing for the kind of integrity of competitive play, and people don't like that, which I totally get. I can agree that too much balancing focuses on that. In FPS games across the board that have this nature, same thing happened with Apex, to me a little bit, and I suppose what there kind of is to think about is does that if that continues, does it put Infinite in a bad place? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it puts it in a bad place. Because like you said, they're not removing them and nerfing this stuff in its entirety. They're only taking out small ones that they, for whatever reasons, deem too good or too powerful or something like that. I don't know. So then they're not completely removing it. But it's definitely not going down a great route. And like you said, you have seen this happen in other FPS games, as we use Apex as an example, and it's not like that killed Apex. And bunny hopping was a huge thing in Apex. That being removed was a really big deal, and the game's done nothing but thrive since. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing for it. In terms of its life cycle and stuff like that. But it just seems unnecessary to me. Sure, you're not butchering your game, you're not killing it quicker, but it's just why? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm with you. And in terms of all of this, they have Unashek has come out and sort of addressed it. They sort of said, okay, yeah, the team, we've heard you loud and clear with a lot of this feedback. We're having internal conversations about this and what we think we can realistically do. Because clearly they don't think it's balanced. Because I mean, I suppose it is tricky because I don't know. We don't know what data they have access to, but I would imagine that there's a decent. But you can't imagine it's happening that often. But you could imagine that a lot of people are getting skill jumped on who either don't know about the skill jump or just are not expecting it, die, and then say, why did they spawn behind me? When it's that's not what happened. Someone just rotated to you very, very quickly. So I mean, I can understand that as well. And when you start factoring in curb size and skill jumps, people can rotate this map very fast, which means you're always in danger of being shot in 3 seconds after spawn. And usually that's like the window
Yeah.
that if someone gets shot at, they're going to say, "Oh, I spawned getting shot at." Where it's like you didn't really, it's just that someone rotated to you very quickly, and you happen to choose, one of three ways where they were going to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is back and forth there. Overall, we're on team keep the tech, but
Yeah.
I understand that this is not a straightforward conversation.
Yeah, it isn't black and white for sure. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so just to top it off, just the final sandbox changes I wanted to touch on was just like the rest of the sandbox changes. Like I said, so I think it was drop ball got a little buff, didn't it? Overshield got a little buff. Ravager got a little buff. Manglo we spoke about got a little nerf. Trying to think if there's anything else. And the vehicle's got a nice buff as well. Chopper feels so much better now, by the way. Like one bangs everything. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Banshee feels great now. Also, like the Banshee bomb does a lot of damage, a lot more health. So lots of nice little changes. Have you had a chance to use any of those things that I just said?
I have had the chance to use the Mangler a fair amount. And it's kind of not a great weapon anymore. It's kind of fine, but like obviously it used to be like S tier, like, and now I'd put it like B minus. Like
Yeah.
it's hurt it like a lot. Like it's actually a pretty poopy gun now.
Yeah.
Like sure you can two shot someone and then melee them, but I feel like you can kill someone at the sort of range that would be effective. You can kill someone quicker with your standard AR or something like that. And then three shotting someone, again, it takes quite a while in terms of time to kill, and you have to be so fucking precise with it. Yeah, the weapon's not great anymore,
I think,
which is a shame. And
yeah, because sorry, mate. I was just saying, like, I found it's most useful, like just jiggle peeking at like a medium range, which is so weird because it's not how I used it before. Just that you can peek shot with it because it's obviously semi-auto. I found it most effective doing that, but it's like, yeah, I'm with you. Sorry.
Yeah, well, no, I was just about to say, I hope they kind of go back to it a little bit because, like, I think it got nerfed a little bit too hard. I think there's some more work to be done there. It's a bit of a complex weapon. I get that because of its whole like the Banshee melee thing, it being more powerful and everything like that. But yeah, it'd be nice for them to go back to it. It's not a shit gun. Like there are a lot of worse guns than it in the game, like Disruptor, Plasma Pistol. They're all still worse than it. So picking it up off the wall is still a pretty decent option. But yeah, it's hit it quite hard. Ravager haven't had a chance to use. I heard it's a bit better when we were talking. I was talking to you, or was it one of our mates who basically said that it does feel a little bit better, just in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't had a chance to use it myself. And what were some other ones? Oh yeah, the vehicles. Haven't used Chopper. Haven't used Banshee. Overshield. What did they do to Overshield then? I didn't even know this was a thing.
Yeah, a lot of people just felt it was a bit weak in season 1, so they made it it lasts for a bit longer. Did it last for longer? Yeah, I think it lasts.
It drains slower.
Do you know what? I can't remember. It gives a bit more protection and it lasts for a bit longer. I can't remember because I remember the notes mentioning something about the decay not being affected, so I can't remember. But yeah, a bit longer and a bit more power, which I have felt. It does feel a bit better, just because like camo is so powerful in this game, so I think they were trying to balance that a little bit.
Yeah,
yeah.
I always found Ovi pretty good. I'm actually surprised they touched on it. I wasn't in that bandwagon of it feeling a bit meh in season.
But compared
to
camo,
it was pretty good. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, true. Yeah, camo was quite obnoxiously good sometimes. And then what was the other one you said?
The other thing was vehicles.
Oh yeah. I said I hadn't used a Banshee or Chopper, but I've heard good things. So yeah. Overall, I haven't had much of a chance to play with that side of the sandbox stuff. They're very small changes anyway, which do help. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not poo-pooing it. But yeah, the only one I've really experienced and felt is the Mangler issue so far. But yeah.
And the radar. Sorry, last thing. I just felt that was a big enough thing that we should probably talk about.
So much better. I
because
think the radar.
Like I said, nobody was talking about this, and I was like, because like the day was coming up, and I was like, have I just like read this wrong or something? But then it's not.
Yeah.
It is a pretty big change, but nobody was saying anything about it. Yeah, it feels a lot better, right?
Yeah, it's a lot better, and I've actually found myself like just sprinting less. Like I'm aware now that if I'm sprinting, I'm like, oh, like people can get like a sense of my direction from fucking miles away. Me sprinting here, I'm just like, it's kind of just not worth it. Like, so I kind of just do the normal Spartan fast walk, power walk everywhere.
Yeah.
And I find myself crouching a bit more to sort of exploit it that little bit more. It kind of feels a bit more old school Halo.
Yeah.
And yeah, you just get punished for sprinting around like an idiot now and playing it like Call of Duty. So, yeah, I'm completely on board with the radar changes. I really like them.
Yeah, agreed. Nice change. And if you did listen last week, you might remember us talking a bit about our hopes for kind of the narrative event, and it did turn out it was exactly like we said. I said I'm going to keep my expectations low for this because I feel like they would have been marketing if there was any playable content. There's not any playable content. It's just like there's like two cutscenes. There's the intro cutscene, and there's like a cutscene with your Spartan in it, and they talk about kind of what happens, and they find that it's like the banished AI that's in the Spartan's head. Eklund, is that his name? I can't remember. And that's the AI you unlock. 51, which is obviously it sets up like quite a cool story premise, and it's like, oh right, the banished, like we have never seen like the Covenant have an AI before, and like how does this work? So it sets up like quite a few nice questions, but it's like, okay, cool, like it's like it doesn't. So that it does seem like I've seen some like indications that there will be playable content coming for some of these narrative events, but this was just not. That just wasn't now.
Yeah, it was it was a little bit disappointing, wasn't it? I mean, it's fine. It's still kind of cool, right? I'm not going to turn my nose up at it. But yeah, I can't lie that it was slightly disappointing.
Yeah, but whatever. We'll see how it goes. All right, that's it. We're done with Halo. Done with Halo for today. There was a bit of chatter. Again, we're still in the honourable mention section, but there was. So I just want to kind of whiz through this. But there was a little bit of chatter about the length of the Xbox Bethesda showcase, which we had very deep analysis on last week. You know, I made a short about it. You should probably go and watch that. Have you seen that? Did you see it?
The short? I did see the short.
I made a short. You'll have to watch it afterwards. It was about a really in-depth, very, very analytical conversation about the length of the show.
I'm guessing this is sarcastic as hell. I'm guessing.
Yeah. Anyway, so you can see that if you want. But some people were doing like some digging. They had a look on like the Microsoft calendar and found that it was booked out for an hour and a half, and Aaron Greenberg chimed in on Twitter and said, hey, it's not official. We usually do end up at 90 minutes, but we haven't quite figured out the timings yet. So that was, you know, there's no secret game to play. That was just it. So,
was this? I haven't watched it, but was this the part where I was like, it could be longer, it could be shorter?
Yeah.
Okay, I can guess what it was about now. Yeah,
one of my favorites so far. So that's that. As I say, we'll talk more about the conference as the time comes up. We won't be around next week, so I'm hoping we don't miss too much too much news about it this week, but we will talk about this as the time comes. And there's also an Xbox Ultimate Play sweepstakes currently going on. It's a little competition. You should see it on your dashboard. Not competition, yeah, just sweepstakes. But the idea is if you just click on it, scan it on your phone as a QR code, and you just enter in like your gamer tag and your email and whatever. And I think it's going on for like a couple of weeks, where if you play for an hour, like a Game Pass game for an hour a day, you get one sweepstake, and there's like quite a lot of prizes. Just thought I'd shout it out just in case anybody hadn't seen it, because you know, get some luck, win some prizes.
Yeah.
Okay, and the final thing on my honourable mention list is that there has been an Xbox outage over the last few days, and whenever this happens, controversy. It's controversy. Starts. It brews. Because people can't access their offline games, their single player games, when some parts of the service are down. I haven't had this problem. I think this has happened to us once before.
I think so.
We
Yeah.
did have some funniness the other day. We were trying to play speedrunners, and it kept booting us back to home. All of us, like, it kept saying, like, you don't own this game. So it's caused a lot of like if you go on Twitter and you type in like Xbox in the moment, you'll see like a lot of people being like, oh, you know, this DRM is ridiculous. You know, Xbox needs to sort this out, which is kind of fair. Like, it is kind of ridiculous that you can't play single player games when like some of these services go down. So yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to kind of see how you felt about that.
Yeah, it's a bit shit that if a certain part of a service is down or just anything like that, you just can't access stuff that doesn't even require you to need to be online to play. It's a little bit odd, I have to admit.
I feel like they need a way to like authenticate that it's you in situations like this. You know, like two-step verification. You like ping a message to your phone, click yes, okay, good, you're fine for the next 3 hours or whatever. You know.
Yeah, something like that. Because I mean, there's still, they still will have records to say, you know, that it's tied to your account that you do own this game, whether or not you connect to the part of the server that then pings back that yes, you go ahead, play it, you own it. Like you said, there are ways that you can prove it's you. That's not a bad shout. Just something like that. Obviously, it's more complex than that. We're simplifying it. But yeah, something like that's actually a pretty good shout, because that's the kind of time you want to play games like that, especially if like multiplayer services are a bit fucked up and you can't play your normal social games. It's just like, oh, I want to boot Tales of Arise up, and it's just like, no, you don't own this. It's just like, well, I do.
Yeah.
I gave you my money.
Yeah, my bank disagrees. My wallet disagrees.
Yeah, so they definitely need to sort it out, because at the end of the day, you've quite literally fucking given them money for these things. Yeah, it's kind of not okay for them just to claim you don't own it when you like. Can I then claim that they technically don't own that money I gave them?
Yeah.
No.
I know. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, you know, if you remember the original Xbox One plan, like a lot of that was to circumvent this. Like it was convoluted, but like the plan for them was that people are always going to be online, so we need a system that works for this constant online DRM system. And it was like there's going to be like a check every 24 hours to see if you're online, to verify that these games are yours. And there's going to be a really easy way to tether your phone to your Xbox if you don't have access to internet, or your internet goes down or whatever. You know, you just you can tether it to your phone, and they presumably would have made an easy way to do that, and then you'll be fine for the next 24 hours because they verified the console is yours. That's yours. That's your license. So, you know, said it before, but that plan was ahead of its time. You know, it wasn't perfect, but it was ahead of its time. You know, I feel like it's quite hard to say otherwise, but you know, here we are.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been ongoing. By the looks of it, services are all okay now. By the time you're watching this video or listening to this podcast, I'm sure it will all be okay. But you know, it does suck when this stuff happens. So you know, if it'd be helpful if Xbox had some sort of statement on this every now and then, just to clarify what they're doing to make this easier, because it's happened a few times over the last 5 years, and kind of nothing just kind of gets brushed under the rug. But
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're at the parts of the main news stories for now. So, if you're still listening or you're still watching, hello, hit that like button. Give us a 5-star review. Subscribe. What else do you do? Hit that notification bell. Is there anything else? Add us to your favorites.
Yeah, do whatever the good things are for whatever platform you're listening or watching this on.
Do the good things.
Do that.
Take a photo. Send it to your friends.
Don't print the environment deck.
Print on sustainable paper. No, in actual fact,
there you go.
It's not getting thrown away, so just print and keep hold of it forever in your wallet. There you go. Give you a nice little freeze frame right there. Is there anything else?
You're an idiot.
Okay.
No.
Right. So Embracer Group went on an acquisition spree, as they do. Embracer Group. You know Embracer Group?
Who are Embracer Group?
Embracer Group, you know Embracer Group.
I probably do, but just for the sake of the audience, why don't you tell me?
Embracer Group are that massive. Where are they from? Swedish? Are they Swedish? I think they're Swedish. Somewhere up there, up in Northern Europe. Anyway, they're one of the massive organizations that are like that have had like loads of acquisitions in the last few years. They own like 50 studios. And everyone's like, why are you doing this? Like, what's the plan here? Because they haven't even like released much under their name yet, even though they have acquired all these studios. So you're the only like presumption is that they're trying to become this like mega publisher, because they've been acquiring a lot of small like indie studios or like AA studios at most. And then this week it was announced that Embracer Group acquired the entire Western division of Square Enix for 300 million, which is ridiculous. 300 million is so cheap for what that
is very cheap, yeah,
for what those studios have. So just to be clear, this is Crystal Dynamics, that's Eidos Montreal, that's Square Enix Montreal as well, including IPs like Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Thief, Legacy of Kain, and more than 50 back catalogue titles from Square Enix Holdings. That's crazy. Tomb Raider's a huge IP.
Yeah, I was literally about to say, like, 300 million is worth it solely for Tomb Raider. let alone like Deus Ex is massive as well. Like Deus Ex goes way back and has had some really popular entries. And even the most recent Deus Ex, like some like Human, it's called Human something.
Mankind Divided.
Mankind Divided, yeah. I think that was even pretty shit hot. I think it came out of the gates with pretty good reviews and very well received and stuff like that. So like both those IPs are worth 300 million in themselves. And I know there's a decent following. I mean, Thief was a bit garbage, but you know, I know that there's a decent following behind Legacy of Kain. I mean, we used to like those games, didn't we? Like Soul Reaver and Legacy of Kain and all that.
Yeah.
I know that has a nice cult following that would like to see a remaster or a remake or just a sequel. To be honest, so
well, even like you said, Thief there, but like Thief has a lot of like pedigree. Like I know the latest entry didn't do it for like everyone, but the first one has a lot of pedigree for a lot of people. So I think like another reboot of that would probably get a lot of people quite excited if it did well.
Potentially, it's a big IP. Yeah, I just think like the concept of Thief is just like, it was good back in the day, and it has pedigree because it was the first of its kind when it did it, like a stealth like narrative, I guess. It was kind of one of the first that did it well. But it's just like these days you get games that have that formula all the time. Like it's just kind of like
it's a bit
boring.
Outdated.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I mean, I guess if they do it right, sure. Like there's no reason why it can't be good, but yeah, this is a hell of a deal. And I mean, obviously they got Crystal Dynamics, which are the people that did Avengers and stuff like that. Obviously they didn't get the IP for that. So how does that work? I mean, they got the studio that developed it.
Well, it's not an original IP, so I don't know how. Yeah, it just depends how that IP was negotiated. Like if it's being like licensed out to them, or if they own it for X amount of time. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like like for anybody who's been following this close enough, you know, we all know that Square Enix like has hated their Western studios for like 5 years now, maybe longer. Every time one of their Western studios put out a game, they'd be like, a month would pass and they'd be like, yeah, it didn't reach expectations. Like, what are you on about? Like every single time without fail that they would say that about every game.
Even Tomb Raiders?
Yeah, all of them. They'd be like, yeah, didn't reach expectations.
Tomb Raiders sold like hotcakes.
Yeah, didn't do well. Every single time. I can't remember what the most recent. I mean, they said the same about Guardians of the Galaxy. Yes, that like fair enough. I mean, but by no fault of Crystal Dynamics, you know, Square Enix just did not market that and didn't market it well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they've hated their studios for one. They just wanted to get rid of it. So they've still got their Japanese like group, and it's hard. You know what? I can't actually put a finger on what games their Japanese studios has made from Square Enix. Maybe it's like Tales of Arise. Like, who made Tales of Arise?
Tales of Arise is Bandai Namco, I think, and somebody else. Obviously, Bandai Namco are just the publishers, but
yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, developed by Bandai Namco as well. Yeah, so I can't remember. Maybe I'm not trying to put my finger on it. Maybe it's like Scarlet Nexus as well, but maybe that was Bandai Namco as well. But nonetheless, the conversation really is that there has been a lot of speculation about Sony buying what's left of Square Enix's Japanese division,
which would obviously include Final Fantasy. They finally get their grubby mitts on Final Fantasy, even though they technically had it anyway.
Yeah,
with timed exclusivity, like
timed
bullshit. Yeah,
timed exclusive for 100 years.
Still don't have Final Fantasy 7, by the way. No. Yeah, timed. God, Sony are the good guys.
Very timed. Well, I tweeted about this the other day. I was like, I still can't believe I have to wait another 4 months to play Deathloop. Like,
yeah,
feels like that game's been out forever.
It's going to be like the same situation with like the Destiny content. I know that I like the Destiny 2 content that we always complained about. Like, we're going to finally get Final Fantasy 7 when fucking Part 2 comes out. And it's going to trigger me so much.
Yeah.
I mean, I've played Final Fantasy 7 now. Like, I played it on my PS4. You know, I had to just bite the bullet and just play it on my PlayStation because I wasn't going to get it on my preferred platform. So, yeah.
Stupid shit. But I mean, in terms of a Sony acquisition here, it's a bit there are like two schools of thought, because on one hand, like, yes, like, makes sense, like Sony has a strong like Japanese presence and this is only going to help them with that. But on the other thing is that like Sony already have very good relations with like Japanese third-person action adventure games, and that's what Square Enix Japan makes. It's like, does that really need to double down? Well, I guess maybe if they can get it for like dead cheap, it would be worth it. But yeah, I don't know. When getting their hands on like a publisher probably would be helpful. It would be good PR for them as well. So yeah, there's been a lot of rumors. There's nothing like official or confirmed or like anybody credibly like saying it's happening. But yeah, lots of talk about it. So a bit wild, that whole story. Embracer. Honestly, Embracer, if you want to acquire the Quick Resume podcast, we're here. Like, you can do so.
Yeah, we'll take 200 million. Like,
yeah, we're
seriously.
cheap, nice and cheap. No takesies backsies. Great, yeah. And while we're on the Sony's kind of bandwagon, the FTC have decided that they're going to open a probe.
So I was doing an Eminem rap.
Oh, okay. Right, have decided they're going to probe Sony's deal for Bungie for the acquisition. It seems everyone's like raising a lot of eyebrows like at the moment about like big tech. You know, this has been a thing for a while, especially in the US. Like on a policy level, everyone's getting quite concerned about big tech. It's just a bit annoying that now is when they've decided that is the problem. You know, not when like Facebook acquired like 30 different things and Twitter acquired 30 different things. You know, Facebook Facebook like bought Instagram. You know, shit like that.
Yeah.
Facebook went Meta. You know, I was like, that's fine. Oh, the gamers though, they've got to suffer. Having said that, you know, I'm only joking. You know, acquisitions aren't always good, but like, I understand the implications of that. But yeah, nobody's really confident that anything's going to happen with this. Obviously, the FTC is now obviously looking into the Activision Blizzard acquisition as well. So these are both being looked into. But imagine the shitstorm if Bungie got blocked, but ActiBliz got through.
Yeah, I was about to say, because the scale is just so much different, like on both of these. It's quite weird how they're both being put in the same boat a little bit, when one's going for 70 billion and one's just going for 3.6. But yeah, that would be super crazy if the ActiBliz went through and Bungie didn't.
Heads would roll. It really does strike me as like a bunch of old fogies who've finally gone like, hang on a minute, are you telling me video games like aren't just Tetris and Mario anymore? Like, what's going on? Like, what's going on here?
What does ActiBliz mean? What is this?
Blizzard? Why would you want to buy a Blizzard? What are they up to? Very silly, very silly. Okay, Games Pass editions, Tim.
Oh,
I
wow.
installed
Good.
Bugsnax.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I haven't played.
Why?
I just wanted it on my console. I'm like no intentions to play it anytime soon.
Yeah, I pinned it. I just like to look at the icon.
Yeah, I do. Like seriously, those talking strawberries just do a lot for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's good stuff.
It is good stuff. So soon coming to Xbox Games Pass, we've got Loot River, Citizen Sleeper, Trek to Yomi, Danganronpa 2, Iodine Chronicle Rising, This War of Mine, Final Cut. Out of all of these things, I really remember Loot River being shown off at E3 Xbox's conference last year. I'm pretty sure. Maybe at Game Awards. Can't remember.
I can't remember Lou River. I don't know.
I think you'd recognise it if you've seen it. It's like you're a little witch doctor, with the beak. And
plague doctors, aren't they?
Yeah. What did I say? Witch doctor. Yeah, plague doctor.
Yeah.
And you go down a river, and you have to move the platforms as you go, and then you get to obstacles, and then you have to get off and do a bit of combat. It's like isometric.
You loot said river.
You loot said river. It's like a roguelike.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It's still not ringing any bells for me.
Oh really? I remember being pretty interested in the trailer from this.
Sounds look cool though.
Yeah, I gave it an install. I'll probably give it I'll give it a bit of a go maybe this week. But that's the standout for me. The reviews have been a bit lower than I was hoping for. It's high 70s. So it's still pretty good, but I was hoping a bit higher. But it sounds pretty good and quite interesting. It's almost a mix of Tetris and a isometric action game.
Yeah.
Which is
it looks cool. Yeah.
With
I'm actually looking at it now. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, so that's stand out for me. And Trek to Yomi has been a big release as well. Trek to Yomi was that cinematic, side sort of scroller, samurai sort of game. And that's been received, I think, a bit less warm than everyone was hoping, which has been a shame. But it was never really on that radar. I never did that much for me. It did look nice, but I wasn't I wasn't excited for it like I was for Loot River. So, yeah, those are the Games Pass editions. Is there anything else? Tim, what is Danganronpa?
Danganronpa.
Danganronpa. What is that?
Yeah, it's like a Japanese game. I think it's the one with the sort of the mascot's like a panda or something. Let me have a look.
Right.
Danganronpa.
Goodbye Despair Anniversary Edition. What does that mean? What does that mean?
I think it's like a, I don't know, novel adventure game. Yeah, it's basically a Japanese game. It's going to be kind of weird. It's like this weird panda thing. It's like a yin and yang panda thing. Half of it's white, half of it's black. Yeah, I recognize the mascot for it. Never played a game of it in my entire life. It's very, very Japanese. So yeah, hasn't hit my radar.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fine. So that's some of the updates coming soon. Next up, Tim, we've got a good one. We've got an Xbox app and system update. I think you might remember me talking about this a couple of weeks back, or maybe it was just last week, off camera, off air, and it was about the Xbox app having a revamped activity feed.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're bringing on the Xbox app, just reading straight from the Xbox Wire post, create, share, and view activity feed content with stories, that's what they're calling them now, stories, quote unquote, in the Xbox app for iOS and Android. And also, as part of your console, you can add priority tags for your console gaming experiences with quality of service tagging. And I saw this as well, which was a really nice feature. You can, if you go into your advanced settings in your internet, you can tag quality of service, it will say QoS, and it makes your web provider prioritize the Xbox IP address over other devices, which I thought was a really cool little feature.
Okay. Yeah. That is neat.
But Tim, the activity feed,
I miss
we
it.
need that back, don't we?
Yeah. I definitely do miss it. Yeah, we again we were literally talking about this the other day. I thought it was like a cool little like don't get me wrong, it's not like system breaking for me. I wasn't like really bummed out it left, but I thought it was quite cool that when I do log on and I haven't booted up a game or an app or anything straight away, I could just literally hit like a trigger, go down, see my activity feed. I could see that you got some achievements, like I could see that you were playing Guardians or something like that, and that you got because of the achievements you've had in it, and like a funny clip that you might have made, like a glitch or anything like that. I just thought it was like a neat little thing.
Yeah.
And now I just feel like I'm a bit more separated for what's going on with my friends. Like if I'm not playing the same game as you, I find it very difficult to know what you're doing and what you're playing unless you happen to be online as I check my friends list and I see you're playing Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. That's the only way I would know that you've recently picked up that game. And yeah, man, I would like to have this back, like on the actual Xbox. It's nice that it's coming to the app, sure, but I would like it to come back to the actual Xbox platform.
Yeah, because I remember it used to be like up top, didn't it? You know, we've got like kind of the horizontal scrolling. Well, it used to be actually. That's not a thing anymore, is it? But it used to be like your main page, and then it would be like activity feed, and then store, and those would be the three. And you would do tab, but there's no like horizontal scrolling like that anymore. But yeah, I'd like to be able to just like scroll over, because this is the problem, because they've tried to like consolidate it all so much that a lot of stuff feels like buried in menus. And I don't know why, but it's one of the major things that I want them to like really address with the system and the dashboard. Like, let me just scroll over and like just literally give me a Twitter feed. Just give me a Twitter feed of my friends. Like, allow people to post like just type things. You know, like, oh, you know, this sucks. This is great. Automatically fill it with clips that are being made, like you said, achievements. And even just like status updates. X person has started playing this. X person has played this for 50 hours. Like, press X person hasn't played for a week. Press X, press the thumbs up to like welcome them back. Just stuff like that. And like, and then just give me some filters so I can filter stuff in and out. But like, that's literally it. Just give me that social experience like the other social media apps have.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you could even use it as like a tool to get more downloads as well out of said game, because if you're just like, oh, Bad Juju's played Guardians of the Galaxy for 22 hours now, or something like that, like you said as an example, you can also use that post to, you could have a view in store sort of on your post, so someone can go in click on your post or whatever, go straight to Guardians of the Galaxy that's on Games Pass, and you can use that as sort of almost a marketing tool to help get another download out of somebody or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Like you've somewhere like your friend has downloaded this on Games Pass. Like, are you interested? Like, click here to download. Like, just straight from the like activity feed,
straight from the post on the activity feed. Yeah, exactly. Because they might not have been aware that game was on Games Pass or something like that, and they're like, oh shit, that's on Games Pass, and I knew that because one of my friends is playing it. So you can definitely use it as like actual like potential to get more clicks and downloads out of content, as well as just providing us with a more social experience. I think it's kind of like a win-win if you do it well. And we liked it when it was half baked. So like,
exactly.
If you actually do it well, like, it's going to be a really, really good feature for sure.
Yeah, no, big agree. It just seems to be something that's really low priority for the team. And they've been more focused on just making the UI like quicker and more usable, which it has become, thankfully. Like, generally, I think the Xbox UI is pretty good. It's not perfect, but this is one of the things that it's just really missing. And like, like avatars as well. And they went through the trouble of like the redesigns, like they look amazing now. They look so good. They're like Pixar characters, but like where are they? You know, you've got to imagine that there's got to be something they have on the roadmap down the road to overhaul the UI. Like otherwise, what was the point in all of that? Like the only time I see an avatar is if I leave my Xbox and it goes idle, and then it pops up on the right side of the screen, and it gives me notifications with a picture, and usually that picture is someone's avatar. That's it. That's the only time I ever see it. So,
I mean, the only other time you see it is if you like fully click into somebody's profile, and it's just like, who does that? Like, really?
Yeah, that's right. So, Xbox team, if you're listening, please give us whatever these stories are. Bring them to the main dashboard. I'm sure that's what the plan is, to like test like engagement on the app and then go from there. But yeah, I'd love to see more like social integration on the Xbox dashboard.
Yeah, big agree.
Okay, Fortnite is next. Fortnite.
I mean, yeah.
But there's a twist. So it's not really about Fortnite. It's really about Xbox Cloud Gaming. And this is a pretty big deal. I'd argue this is probably the biggest news of the week. That Xbox and Fortnite, or Epic, I guess, have teamed up to allow you to stream Fortnite on your phone on xbox.com/play. So it's just like, it's their workaround for Apple being scummy fucks and not letting them put it. Like just pissing everyone off, pissing Xbox off by not allowing them to have, streaming through their app, and pissing Epic off by, what were they doing? They've still delisted Fortnite from iOS stores. I still don't think you can get Fortnite in iOS stores because of like the revenue share or something like that. I can't remember the exact problem. But so now you can play Fortnite, and this is the first free to play game. This is why this is a big deal. It's the first free to play game on Xbox Cloud. Usually, if you're not aware, you need Games Pass Ultimate to get access to Xcloud. Fortnite, you don't need that. You can just go on xbox.com/play, and you can just play Fortnite for free through Xbox's services. That's a big deal. A lot of people have tried it. They've said that it plays pretty well. There's different. It's made native, so you can play it on your touchscreen. You don't need a controller. You can use a controller if you want. It has options like auto fire, so like when you're aiming over someone, it just fires. Yeah, I mean, what's like how are you feeling about this? Because like a lot of people have been like, this is a pretty big deal. So.
Yeah, I mean, it is a pretty big deal. I mean, we all know what the sort of like mobile gaming space is like. Even though we don't dip our toes in it much, it's pretty big, and people really enjoy mobile gaming and gaming on the go and stuff like that. And then you combine that with a game like Fortnite, which is just, it's just unfathomably big, isn't it? It's massive. It's not available on the iOS platform and stuff like that. It's a big deal to have this, associated with your brand, to be like, you can do this on Xbox with Xbox. Being one of the very few avenues to actually play Fortnite portable and on the go. Yeah, I think it's a really big deal. Yeah, 100%. Especially if it's done well, like you said, and it's done like natively, and it actually plays well too. It's not like some gimmick. It's not like some workaround, like you said, to just sort of get back at Apple. They're actually taking it seriously. It's actually a genuine like platform, and it works well. So
yeah, I've got to imagine that Sony are feeling a bit unsure about this, because I mean, like 5, 6, 7 weeks ago, we spoke about Sony investing like quite a large amount in Epic, like $1 billion. I think they invested $1 billion in them or something like that. So I think presumably they're trying to get a bit snug with Epic, but this is something which can only happen on Xcloud. This isn't something that you can do with PlayStation services.
Yeah, the tech's just not there for them.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, even Sony use Microsoft Azure, so like PlayStation and Sony in general use it, so everyone's kind of reliant on that. But I guess what I'm interested to see like performance for this, because it's easy. Like on paper, like I said, it looks like a pretty big deal. Like you can imagine like school kids pulling out their phones on their lunch break now. and playing Fortnite together.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? Like with touchscreen, like these kids have like 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, like they can just play this in their break. And I feel like that's kind of huge. Like the accessibility here is pretty off the scale. So yeah, we'll have to. I'd be really interested to see if we get any numbers or any like performance metrics on this. But man, for like Fortnite is like it was obviously just last month that they like no build mode came in, and now this as well. It's just one good story after another for this game. Even though it's not like super for me, but even like we touched it, didn't we, just a couple of weeks ago? So it even got us. I raised an eyebrow for us, but
yeah.
I think someone. I think I think Jez Corden over at Windows Central had said that they're planning to do this with Halo Infinite as well. Like make it free to play on the cloud, play anywhere. Don't need Games Pass Ultimate, which again makes sense. Depends how it would perform. I feel like Halo is a bit more precise than Fortnite, though. It'd be a bit like harder to play, even if the controls were there.
I think so. Yeah. I can't see it working particularly well because Fortnite is just that little bit more casual, right? Halo is a bit, but I mean, like, it's a cool premise for sure.
Yeah, I mean, but I guess like it depends how these like are you getting thrown in against other mobile users? Because if that's the case, then that's probably fine, I guess.
A bit better, yeah.
Yeah, like I'm assuming you're not going to get thrown against PC players because like what's the point? Again, I don't know how it's working with, but I think that is what happens with like on COD, isn't it? Like Warzone, like you can play that on your phone, can't you? And does that throw you against console players? I'm not sure.
I'm not really too sure, to be honest. I can't say I actually know.
Yeah. So yeah, I would be interested to see if they did that with Halo, but for sure, what Halo does have is pretty good bots. Like if you wanted to hop in and just like shoot some bots, get some of those easy challenges done, like you could do that. So yeah, I mean it's just interesting to see Xcloud finally getting to this place. Like we've spoken about it for so long, finally getting to this place where it is this hyper accessible thing that is starting to perform pretty well for most people. So yeah, really interested to see how this performs.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it'll be nice to see how it all unfolds.
Next up, Summer Game Fest has finally been announced, coming from Jeff Keighley. They'll be streaming live on Thursday, June the 9th. And you might remember, we also spoke about the Tribeca Games Fest last week, which is on the June 10th. So we've got Summer Game Fest on June the 9th, Tribeca Game Fest on June the 10th, and then the Xbox Bethesda showcase on Sunday, June the 12th. So that's when everything's kicking off. Clearly, these guys all knew it was happening around that time to like create mini E3. Jeff says in his tweet, I'm hosting a live cross-industry showcase. Game announcements, reveals, plus Day of the Devs. Lots of events coming in June. Keep checking summergamefest.com. So, really, big question. Are we likely to see Xbox split any of their stuff into the Games Fest? Or is this going to be like a Sony going to try and have a presence here? Or are they going to have their own show? Nintendo don't usually bother; they do their own thing. So, like, what do you think?
I mean, they did say cross-industry showcase, which makes you think that there'll be some stuff from where either or both, either or PlayStation, Xbox, or both. I'd like to think that Xbox might show a thing or two in this that didn't make the cut for the Xbox Bethesda showcase, which I'm sure is going to be quite crammed for a potential 90-minute show anyway. I could definitely see some stuff coming here. I don't know what, but I could definitely see something.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they reserved one thing for this for Games Fest just to like tease, or even do you know what they could do? They do a second Starfield CGI trailer that gives us like more insight like it's not a tease, like it's a proper CGI trailer. It gives us more insight what the game's about, yada yada yada. Monologue over the top, fades out. Starfield. See more on Sunday. Like come to the live gameplay reveal on Sunday, featuring
Okay.
Todd Howard.
Yeah.
3 days of the internet being on fire for that.
Yeah, that could be a pretty good way to hype up the reveal for it and get a lot more views on the actual Bethesda Xbox showcase. Just drum up that hype. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
it's not bad channel.
Yeah, I think they have done that for one thing before, but I can't remember what it was. Yeah, it wouldn't. They Xbox have this thing where they, and I also can't remember if they have shown a game off at Summer Games Fest before, like independent of their own show. I feel like they have, but I really can't put my finger on what that thing is. But they like doing this thing where they have like a little bit of a presence at every show, whether that's like Gamescom or that's obviously E3 or the Video Game Awards. And now Summer Game Fest. So my bet's on one thing being there. Don't know what it'll be. And I also don't think Sony will be there, just for the record. I think they're perfectly happy. They'll be perfectly happy to have their own show in July after everything's settled with all of this, and then they'll show off like God of War Ragnarok, and they'll have their own sort of thunder then.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Tim, you like Avowed, don't you? You're excited for Avowed.
I like. Well, I don't know what Avowed really fucking is yet, but yeah, sure. I'm excited for it. I wish they'd show something.
Well, I don't think you're gonna have to wait for long, so there is that. Well, according to a LinkedIn profile, Avowed seems to be running on Unreal Engine 5, which is honestly a bit surprising because, because Obsidian don't typically make like very graphically appealing games. Like they're fine. Like I always say, the direction like artistically of these games is always very nice, but they just don't seem to have the time or like, I don't know, maybe tech knowledge to like push the engine to its fullest. Yeah. And I don't actually know if their previous games have been on UE, like on UE 3 or 4. Like Outer Worlds, I don't know, but like that was another game that like I kind of thought looked ugly in a lot of places. So again, some of the places in their game look lovely. Like you'd step out to the open, there'd be planets in the, you could see them through the atmosphere, and that's that like Las Vegas type city that was in the ship. Do you know what I'm talking about? There's like neon signs everywhere. Like that's lovely, cool. Really memorable, nice place, but like it wasn't like as nice as I think it could have been on the eyes. Like so I am a bit surprised to hear that they've pivoted over to UE5. Like I've got to imagine that this has delayed it a bit, like unless it's, I don't know, because Epic have been saying that the Switch should be easy, so maybe not. But I mean, hopefully we do see gameplay this July, and hopefully we can tell. I'm excited for. I'm not really excited for this to be graphically good. I'm excited because I think Avowed is going to be a fucking banger. But it would be nice cherry on top if it did look good as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm in the agreement where I'm excited just for the game itself, but then also, I mean, if they're running this on UE5, like that shit's gonna look crispy. I mean, Unreal Engine 5 is capable of some pretty amazing stuff. So that's quite exciting to know that we could get something that's very graphically pleasing, and also we're kind of just hyped for in general, just like the premise of the game. So that's pretty cool actually. I didn't know about this piece of news, and that's quite exciting.
Yeah, it feels like it's been ages since we've spoken about Avowed.
It has been ages. Yeah, it's been ages since anyone's ever spoke about Avowed.
There's just so many games like that, isn't there?
There really hasn't been any piece of news. Well, not. I mean, sure, there's been little bits and bobs here, but like anything shown. You realize the last time we saw that game was when we were all cramped up in your little flat in Kent, and we watched E3.
Mm-hmm.
That was such a long time ago.
I remember.
Like that was insane.
It was a year ago. Yeah.
God, it was longer than that, wasn't it?
I think
2 years. No, it's 2 years. It's got to be.
So. I think they showed it off for the first time last
You're
year.
telling me when we watched all that and the State of Decay 3, that was a year ago? No, it wasn't.
I'm sorry, man. I don't know what this is about you, but I think it was only
No,
a year
piss
ago.
off. Piss off. I must have just be living alternate lives then, I guess.
I mean, it happens to the best of us
While
sometimes.
this one just
Okay,
pauses.
hang on. You might be right.
Not a year ago. You're a freak. It's not a year ago.
Was it really shown off 2 years ago?
Yes, dude. It was a long time ago.
Was I here last year?
State of Decay.
Oh, yeah, it was.
State of Decay and
what does it say about me?
And Avowed and what was the other one? Everwild. All that was shown for the first time, and it's just died since. Just no one's heard anything. It's been
Everwild
like
has
over
had 2
years.
trailers, but yeah, we're like, yes,
no one still knows what it is, though.
It's true.
It's essentially in the exact same spot it was.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of games like that, isn't there? That like we've had CGI trailers for, like not just last year, obviously that we've spoken about that to death, but like in the last few years, whether it's Everwild, it's Avowed, Perfect Dark, like favorite, some of these games you can make an educated guess, but we don't really know. Like Contraband, all of them. Like, what are you and what do you mean? And
exactly.
I think that's really exciting. I think that's the best place to be. And I'm interested to get a sense of like what people's temperature are on, like, because there's like a hierarchy of like announcement excitements, and at the bottom it's like fucking announcement on Twitter, no video accompanying it, we're making this game, stay tuned, and everyone's like, okay, great. Then up from that, it's like a teaser CGI trailer. It's like 5 seconds, and it's just like a title reveal. They just show the title. Yeah, great. After that, it's like a teaser CGI, like like a bit more meat to it. Then like a proper CGI. Then there's like a gameplay reveal, and then like the holy pinnacle is like like a gameplay walkthrough. Like
with like voiceovers.
Yeah, for like
like, you could do this.
Yeah, like a Todd Howard like voice walkthrough. Like bit of chunk of gameplay, like 10 to 15 minutes long, maybe a bit longer if you're feeling feisty. And I'm interested to see how people feel about like 6 or 7 games that have been revealed to like a teasery level with a CGI trailer now being re-revealed on a gameplay level. Like, does that spark a lot of excitement, or a lot of people are going to be like, oh, we already knew about this, no new announcements? Like, I'm interested to see what the reaction to that is going to be.
Yeah, I guess it depends. It depends on how casual and how much you actually follow this. Because I think a lot of people that would have seen Avowed and seen like Everwild and all those sort of games, State of Decay 3, like it was cool in the moment, but 2 years have passed, and there's not a doubt in my mind that if you're not following it like we do and you're a bit more casual, they've just forgot those games exist. I'm going to be honest. Like they're not sitting there being like, oh, 2023 is Avowed. They're just going to be like, Avowed? Oh yeah, like that thing,
oh
like,
yeah.
Like no one carries like
Redfall
the hype, and Redfall, too, no one carries the hype like we do. Obviously, people look at things from a different, through a different lens.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think sometimes it's just a little bit too long to be silent for. And I think Avowed is one of those. So God, just show me something this year, like anything. I'll just take like an Unreal Engine, fucking just show me like a toilet or something.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It's a toilet that gets used.
I'd love a toilet.
That's it, or a skelly man.
Yeah, so we'll have to see.
Toilet.
And you have to imagine, because like feasibly, like if Xbox, like this is going to be like the only time in like my lifetime that like in the time period that I've had wrinkles in my brain, that I've known a publisher, a platform holder to have announced this many games that we don't have any gameplay for. Like they could feasibly have an hour and a half long showing with like 10 to 15 minute long gameplay showcases for each one of these games.
For each of these,
and it's like
unidentified games,
right? Yeah, and it's like I don't know. I just don't know what constitutes like a good show. Is that like, would that become a bit fatiguing by the end? Just watching it, like not having any sharp, short, like new announcements.
You got to space them out.
Yeah. Like I actually don't know. Now that I think about it, like what would an hour and a half of just gameplay look? I mean, I feel like I'm watching a Let's Play at that point. So maybe.
Yeah, you got your notepad out, just like
Yeah.
Just jotting down notes for everything you're saying. It's just too much to take in.
Yeah. So, excited to see where this all lands. But I'm like quite confident that Avowed is one of the few that we will get some gameplay for. Like, a lot of estimates have put it at like early to mid 2023. So if it's coming before, if the targeted release date is coming before next year's Xbox Bethesda showcase, then you'd have liked to have thought we got gameplay. I'm thinking it's kind of one of those gameplay cinematic trailers.
You say that Starfield's coming out in fucking November. We still haven't seen gameplay, so
that's true. That is true.
You just never know.
Yeah, but supposedly, like behind the scenes, Avowed Obsidian is very much like very efficient. They're very much hitting all their milestones and everything. And I think it has been speculated. A few people have said it online that I think it's mostly coming from Rand over at the Xbox 2 podcast that every Xbox Game Studios developer has submitted something. That's like 28 studios. It's quite a lot. Or 23? I can't remember.
A lot.
Yeah. So what we actually get there, we will speak about more in future episodes. But it's crazy. It's crazy. All right, man. Last story for today. We're done.
Oh.
Yeah. Short week. Xbox streaming stick. This has been an ongoing conversation for a long old time, hasn't it?
It has, yeah.
And and now this is coming from multiple sources that this is actually happening. It's coming from Jeff Grubb over at VentureBeat. Jez Corden said it on the Xbox 2 as well. I'm not sure if they've put an article up on Windows Central actually, but yeah, it's being called a streaming puck. Don't know what the difference is between a puck and a stick. I don't know why, but that's what it says.
Right.
And supposedly a Samsung app in the next year. Obviously, this is not confirmed yet, but there has been like rumors and leaks of like some additional Xbox hardware. If you go back a couple of episodes, you'll see I like clickbaited all of you in with a title that says Xbox hardware, new Xbox hardware coming. So that's what that was. It was one of the things we spoke about in the episode. Streaming stick. So so I mean, it's one of those things that it falls right in line with Fortnite, right? You buy a streaming stick, you can stream Fortnite. Done. £10. Don't have to buy a console. Done. Exactly. And if it's built into your TV as well.
School PC. Done.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, your teacher hands you a laptop. Your teacher says, right, time to do some research. You say, no, here's my stick. This is just a thumb drive. I'm just loading my work. You play Fortnite, click on Eds.
It's time to game. It's not time to work.
Yeah. So I am interested to see how this sort of thing works and how this sort of thing markets, because like this is obviously like not for like you and me. Like this is not a device for you and me. But I'm interested to see if there is like a feature set there that could make it for you and me. Like is it cheap enough and affordable enough for me to buy so that when I'm going somewhere else, I can just like plug it into like my Mac, for example? Or is it just a HDMI in? Or like presumably it will be like a Chromecast is or an Amazon Fire Stick. Or do I need a TV? Because like if it's something that is versatile enough, like I could actually see myself like having one just for like trips or different reasons, I don't know, man. Like what does it do anything for you at all?
I mean, I think it's exactly as you said. I really think it just comes down to the accessibility of it. If it really is as simple as just like a plug and play, and you can boot up a selection of games, like sure, there'll be like input lag, all that sort of stuff. So we won't be playing the sort of games we normally do, like Halo or anything like that. Fine, that's off the cards. But there are a lot of games that I'd be interested in playing simply plug and play on the go from Games Pass and stuff like that. So really I think it just comes down to two things: the accessibility of it and then the cost of it as well. Like if it is going to be dirt cheap, and plug and play, then great, fantastic. I probably won't need to buy the Series S if I wanted to take that with me if I'm traveling or something like that. It's like an alternate, very cheap option for that. Clearly, nowhere near as good, but yeah, I think that's just what it comes down to, really. I think it's just those two things for me, at least.
Yeah, it makes total sense, and obviously, it'll have the added benefit of for not well, yeah, for Games Pass Ultimate subscribers, like cross save and all of that, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know how they're going to make this work for, like the family who, is maybe like gets this for like their kid's birthday, like a younger kid maybe.
Yeah,
Like, do they get to keep their saves on the stick? Like, how does this work?
I guess it would just be cloud saves.
And then if they upgrade to an Xbox, do they have to then get Games Pass Ultimate to transfer those saves? Or so again, accessibility. How does this kind of work?
Yeah.
So you have my curiosity. I'm just not sure how it will work. I think overall, it's really part of this vision that Xbox have been building towards since like 2016 now, of like just having Xbox everywhere, but instead of it being in terms of TV and entertainment content, it's you can play games everywhere now, which is how it always should have been. So I'm interested to see how it unfolds. This might be, if this is true, this is likely to be one of those things that gets announced at the showcase this year. But have you heard of the X screen?
The X screen. Oh, that's that thing where it's like you just
For the Series S.
It's like a thing, like a little lid with a screen, and it's like an Xbox inside it or something.
Yeah, it's just
No?
it's like a
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, it's like a screen attachment for the Series S because it's so small. You just whack it on, it plugs into,
plop it on
top,
plug it in the back. Yeah. I've seen it. Yeah.
And like that's, I guess for me, and I know, like I said, that's more down my alley in terms of like being, like portable, but it's not really comparable because like they're always out of stock. It's like £200, but like, man, that thing is just so cool. Like I've looked on the website a few times for it. Like, you still have to have a power source, but it's got like a 1080p. I think it might even have a 120 hertz screen because it's so small. For that thing looks awesome.
Yeah, that is really cool. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, big fan.
It's cool as hell.
So yeah, I mean, I think this is something we will see this year. But other than that, much as we said about Fortnite, I'm interested to see how this all pans out, and if this kind of ends up working for them, like if this ends up being something that gains mainstream traction, or if it's just something that ends up being a nice like benefit to being in the Xbox ecosystem. I don't know if this pulls the same crowd that buys a Switch, like exclusively plays a Switch into the ecosystem. Maybe it does because they can get access to Redfall and Starfield and Halo and all of these games with a streaming stick. Like, maybe it does. And most of those people do not notice latency that much. Like, they don't really know what that is. As long as they can play it, they don't really care.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. Very interesting stuff, Philip. Like where your head's at. Give us an activity feedback.
As always.
Yeah. If you commit for text there. But Tim, we're done. That's all news.
We are done. Wow. I think it's the first QRP we've done in a while. It's been like under 2 hours.
Yeah, probably for the best. I'd be interested to hear what like is an ideal length for people who actually listen to this podcast. Like what people do prefer, because like I said, a lot of like there are loads of like podcasts that like go for this, like usually go for like 2 or 3 hours. And like sometimes they come under like an hour and a half sometimes. But I think if you're listening to a podcast like I do, you do it while you're doing other stuff, and that's kind of what it's there for. But hey, well, if you want to give us some feedback, leave it in the comments. Hit us up. Find me on Twitter, Quick Resume Pod. Tim, anything to say as we close out the show?
Nothing from me, Coach.
Wicked. Well, as a reminder, we won't be here next week, everyone. Other than that, I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and we'll see you for episode 54.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.